Game has to give us a farting buzz bomb in the intro. This necklace that Banjo's wearing stays in place throughout the whole game. Mumbo is a jerk to Banjo and Tootie. The fact that I didn't grow up with this game while so many people around me did grow up with it makes it hard for me to live with myself. Banjo and Tootie are old enough to be able to live without their parents, but they still have to share their house. This cuckoo bird is bigger than the hole it comes out of. Nice Game Boy, but with Banjo's big hands, it's going to be really hard for him. This game shows us that Gruntilda's lair is much bigger than this. Ugly old hag who thinks she's beautiful, cliche. Banjo's backpack has the same properties of Mary Poppins' bag. Bowles seriously thought that Gruntilda was Banjo. Maybe he saw one of Banjo's colors in Smash Ultimate. I know this is a cartoonish game with a talking bear and bird who go on a quest to defeat a fat old hag, but why couldn't Tootie just run away instead of standing there scared? In this house that has two bears, there's only one bed. It's not like Banjo and Tootie are a couple, they're brother and sister, so why do they only have one bed? These are some giant feathers that Kazooie shed when she fell. Banjo left one of his trash cans tipped over. Wow, he really is lazy. I do really like this game's art style, so I'm going to dock 2 cents here. You mean these guys haven't met? You'd assume they have, considering how small Spiral Mountain is. Bottles learned some rhyming from Gruntilda. Worm breath. That's racist. How does Banjo fly through this waterfall without being pushed down by it? I understand that this is a cartoonish game and all, but CinemaSins would have said the same thing. I understand Bottles fixing this bridge for us, but how did he throw the bridge that far? And even connected properly? This is as ridiculous as Woody being able to throw those lights from Sid's window to Andy's window. Gruntilda didn't design this well if she had to bend her head like this. I doubt that the machine would finish transforming them before Gruntilda's neck snaps. If Gruntilda thinks she's beautiful, why is she saying she's tired of being an ugly witch? Kazooie would definitely choke on that. Interesting touch with Gruntilda's dialogue throughout her lair, but how is she even able to communicate with Banjo from that distance? She'd have to have hidden security cameras and hidden megaphones. I love these different worlds, but are they actually in the Banjo-Kazooie world? Or are they just alternate dimensions invented by Gruntilda? In terms of the game, it definitely makes sense that Bottles won't teach you moves until you find the holes. But if this was an actual quest, it would have been smarter for him to just teach them all at once and save Banjo some time. Speaking of which, I bet he could tunnel his way to Gruntilda's room and we'd save Tootie in a heartbeat. Why are these Jinjos asking for help? They can clearly fly as shown as the rest of the game, so he could easily fly out of trouble. This one doesn't even look like he's that lost. This honeycomb can talk without a real mouth. Also, he's taking the fact that he's going to be eaten quite well. Banjo and Bottles are jerks to Kazooie. How do these hay box pieces get sent flying through the hay? These music notes are sentient, so how do they eat to survive? Skull-Eye Jakey. Breaking and entering. Mumbo, I know you want payment before you reward us, but our sister's in terrible danger. This enemy doesn't get crushed in the rubble. That's racist. This orange says that oranges taste nice. Is this orange a cannibal? If Kazooie has to keep shooting eggs out of her mouth, that would hurt really badly. Of course, Rare has to resort to a poop joke. Also, is Kazooie scrambling her own kids? Bottles spelled woe wrong. Even for our first boss, Conga is pretty underwhelming. I feel bad for Juju, having to stay in a place for all eternity. Not only that, but they're spinning to make themselves dizzy. Do they have to make Mumbo's magic words sound like some kind of drool monster followed by a failed Aku Aku impression? Tinker tries to kill what he thinks is his own kind. Ants can survive underwater. Who knew? Walking into a place might reverse you. By that I mean you'll still be holding forward and accidentally walk back in. What do you mean, how many notes? It says so on the door. No wonder Gruntilda calls you a dumb bear. Look, I like this game, and I think it usually does a pretty good job with its jokes, but I really don't like how Kazooie turned this crab against us. Also, this game has next to no impressive bosses. Most of them are just souped up enemies, while this one pretty much has nothing to it. Why are there other crabs inside Nipper's shell? And what's with these starfish on the walls of it? The fact that you can't manually control the camera while in the ship is irritating. Blubber has a pretty small nose for a hippo. How was Bottles able to burrow into this mast? I could maybe buy him digging through wood, but it's too flat for him. If this lockup is trying to protect Gruntilda's treasure, why doesn't he just keep his mouth closed? An enemy killing itself to try to hurt you makes more sense in context of this game than when the Bob-ombs do it in the Mario series, since this is, well, Banjo-Kazooie, but I'm still going to sin it. Pooping eggs into a bucket allows him to drain water somehow. Does this count as a roll credits? Also, if you type in the wrong code enough times, it'll ruin your save file instead of finding better ways to punish you. This snippet still tries to kill you, not taking into account that we just saved him. Good thing these convenient boxes were placed so we could jump on them to reach the sledge. Snagger can't get you when you're on top of a small crate. He's a shark. Just tear the crate apart. I think he could do that. He can vanish into thin air after you escape him. I never knew that stomping on X's turned them into arrows. This is kind of a small lighthouse. Game spoils one of the last levels in the game. If Gruntilda sleeps in the pigsty, how is she not covered in it? Fat Hag Monthly. These sewer waterfalls are very flat. I bet this image of a giant robot whale thing with jagged teeth must have stopped children from getting this far. Clinker has a blowhole, so that would imply that he probably needs to breathe. Whales can hold their breath underwater for a long period of time, but they still need to breathe sometime, so this whale is as good as dead. The part where you dive down to free Clinker is just so scary. It's so easy to worry about drowning here. I mean, I understand that glue provides you with air bubbles, but it's very easy to swim past them by mistake because the swimming isn't very precise. Also, can fish even survive in sewer water? These bubbles don't even pop, they just vanish. And then if you don't make it up to the Jiggy after freeing Clinker, you have to do the freeing process all over again. If Clinker is made of metal, what's this blood or muscle or whatever it is on the side of him? Part of the song is a discount Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog robotic theme. I'm just expecting to run into him and hear him say, "Snooping as usual, I see." And speaking of music, while I love this game's amazing soundtrack, pretty much every song in the game plays in the concert C, which seems almost like a lazy choice. Getting this health extension from this pipe is annoying too. Just like getting this blue Jinjo thanks to the swimming controls. And how can it even breathe? Do Jinjos have certain abilities depending on their color like the Pikmin do? Are red Jinjos fireproof? Can yellow ones be thrown high? The Mewtwo snippets are further proof that this game's bosses stink. This one's just an enemy gauntlet instead of an actual boss. Gruntilda can't even design a real whale. Aren't whale noses higher than their eyes? And if it's a shark, then that's an awfully big shark. We ruined his teeth, and then his teeth are still here, except bent, which I'd assume would be even more painful for him than losing them. Yep, that was muscle. Inside a mechanical fish. I understand that it has metal pipes and stuff like that, but why muscle? Why does Clinker need gills and a blowhole? Also, its blowhole changes in size, but this creature is made of metal, so that makes as much sense as you'd expect from this game. How were people supposed to know to attack this gate? With Kazooie pecking these disgusting looking grilled champas, she'd get very sick. Bottles can dig through metallic fish. Wouldn't it make more sense for Bottles to tell us how to turn invincible before we could first get gold feathers? I'd send the fact that you can actually beat the game without coming here, since Bottles' move he teaches here isn't required to be in the game, but it's probably for the better that a level kid screamed and ran out of isn't required. This statue of Gruntilda looks like it's flipping us off if you look at it the wrong way. Vomit floor. The fact that there's no ogre living here telling you to get out of his swamp. I don't know how piranhas are going to be able to live in this incredibly shallow swamp. Also, I'm pretty sure that piranhas would be able to bite through these boots. I've heard of piranhas biting through harder stuff to bite through. But nope, they can't. Matriarchka. Also, Banjo is a jerk to this egg's embryo. These stripes make these flibbits look more like beads than frogs in their talking icon. Also, this is the second boss in the row that is just an enemy gauntlet. This Jinjo is immune to piranhas. Tank Top sounds more like he's in pain than being cured. Why would he swallow a Jiggy? Tank Top is a cannibal. Do turtles need to be born with a music note on their back in order to be in this choir? Or do they somehow get tattoos on their shells? Banjo is abusing these poor tip-tops. What would PETA say? Also, they have squishy shells. The jokes in this game are usually funny, but this game actually has a joke about crawling up a crocodile's nose. Also, its nostrils are a different distance from each other than they were when we went inside it. I'm pretty sure crocodiles aren't supposed to be red. This game is doing everything in its power to try to make us all sick. Also, Mr. Vile's game can actually get pretty annoying. Also, I hope these yumbies aren't the giant crocodile's boogers. What do you mean, look everyone? You and I are the only ones in here. I just realized. Why does Gruntilda even bother leaving all these Jiggies around her lair? Grunty pounding. Why does Gruntilda have a giant picture of us on the entrance to Freezy Peak if she hates us? I love the interior design in the igloo with the ice and all, but they should be really careful about not eating hot food like super pizza on it. Muggy ends his question with an exclamation point. Banjo and Kazooie leave no footprints in the snow. Yeah, I'm being a jerk. I'll try not to question why Boggy ate a Jiggy, especially since I already questioned it with Tank Top, and instead ask how he was able to swallow it whole. It doesn't look small enough. He shouldn't be laying down in the middle of the snow like this. Nothing says Christmas like watching these cute little sentient lights get murdered. What kind of creature would want to eat lights anyway? They're made of glass, and I'm pretty sure it would cut the insides of their mouths and cause this to be a lose-lose situation. This on button just spawned out of nowhere. Chinkers were probably the inspiration for the worst joke in Banjo-Tooie. The twinklies shrink when they let up. Why do they make us fly through the star 3 times? What's the point? And plus another sin for making me make an unintentional pun there. These people hung the ornaments on the inside of the tree. Either that or Chip and Dale were hiding in it. How does destroying a Sir Slush's hat kill them? Also, aiming at them is kind of a chore. These houses are so tiny. It's great seeing these presents want us to bring them, but since these presents are sentient, do they die when they're unwrapped? These feathers aren't being blown away by the wind. Walrus Banjo can't ride on this racist sled. Well, now Boggy must have some big cut marks on him. Well, be thankful this isn't Banjo-Kazooie nuts and bolts. Most of the transformations can't defend themselves. How is Walrus Banjo steering this thing? I like the way these flags change color, but what inside them is causing them to do that? Now he says he wants to race someone smaller. Is he asking for an unfair advantage? I like this guy, but that's just mean. Does Waza give out jiggies to any random walrus he sees? Also, this walrus is a jerk. He's holding a Jinjo captive. Thank you so much for giving me that image. Of course there's an obvious sex joke in here. I don't mind the fact that this game has adult humor. I mean, it makes me feel better for enjoying this game because it makes me feel like I can play it and still be an adult, but this joke could have been better. These falling sandy slopes should be even more impossible to climb than the ones in Skyward Sword. Maybe Kazooie is part Mach Bike. Discount Wallmaster. I'd assume this pyramid is ancient, so why would the tiles have Banjo and Kazooie's faces in the tiles? Pretty sure they weren't born yet when this pyramid was built. Aladdin and Jasmine aren't riding any of these magic carpets. Did these guys even need to chain up Gobi? If he tried to make a run for it, he'd probably sink in the quicksand. How did they get him here in the first place? I get that they're called magic carpets, but can they support a creature that weighs over 800 pounds? The game shows a great example of trolling before it was called trolling, I think. Unlike most quicksand, this quicksand just functions the same as lava. We are jerks to this grandma, or was he a jerk to us? I honestly can't tell. Regardless, here's a sin. I'm pretty sure dumping all this water out into here would cause this part of Gobi Valley to become Gobi Mud Pits. Okay, the name King Sandy Butt is just so stupid and hilarious. This game really does have some good jokes in it. If Gobi needs water, why doesn't he just drink the water he's surrounded by? Okay, now we're just resorting to animal abuse that they think is funny. Maybe Gobi deserves something for hogging the water from Trunker, but come on. They didn't even try with Trunker's growing animation. Again with the animal abuse. Getting the eggs into this pot is kind of annoying. Are you sure we're not cheating with these boots? Boggy? We already found your kid's presents. I really like the atmosphere of this area. I don't know why, it's probably because it reminds me of the Haunted Mansion at Disney World. But whatever the reason, I'm definitely taking off Sins. What are these holes in the house supposed to be? So Cups can sing now. This is actually really disgusting. You actually get flushed down the toilet and climb a mound of poop in a kid's game. Thanks a lot, game. Now I have to give 10 cents. You know what? I actually agree with Grintilda here. Gates are this easily breakable now. Now these rippers are grade violating themselves. Convenient brick sticking out allows us to climb the clock on this church. They really need to fix this clock if it has this hole in it. These tee-hees laughing are honestly really annoying. They remind me of that annoying Waldo from Muppet Vision 3D. Well, now I know what job Master Hand had before he became a Smash Brothers boss. This organ isn't even playing the right notes when the keys are hit. What kind of organ is this? I'm honestly surprised Moat's Hand doesn't try to kill you for failing its challenges. Is it weird that this statue of Grintilda's face is even uglier than Grintilda herself? Seeing this Jiggy appear in the Grintilda statue's eye actually kind of makes me feel uncomfortable. Interesting way of raising the water level, but it seems kind of strange when you have a coffin with no one in it. Or are they saving it for a special occasion? So now this part of the lair is flooded. Question is, how is water not pouring out of this hole? Assumptions. And welcome to one of the most notorious levels in the game. How ironic, life preservers trying to kill you. More like death preservers. Also, they're called Flotsam. I wonder if there's also an enemy called Jetsam. Where did these seamen grublins get these monster-sized uniforms? Also, these guys are bigger than a bear. And here's the reason that Rusty Bucket Bay is so notorious. The precision in this series of platforms. Especially after you hit the switch where you're on a time limit to cross back and climb a ladder and make your way to the propellers. And it's easy to get shredded to pieces there. Can Banjo even fit through these windows? It's going to be hard for the captain to hit these buttons this high. This warehouse contains a diving board. Awfully weird choice, but okay. Also strange how the music doesn't change when you go into this anchor area. Snorkel has no scratches or rust on him after being crushed by an anchor. He and Snacker can survive oily water. These barrels look like they might be explosive, so how are they not exploding in acid? I'd assume that acid sets off explosions. Boomboxes suffer from the same Babam syndrome that those shrapnels suffered from. Whoever designed these construction cranes put these buttons in places that would inconvenience themselves. These grublins left these refrigerators open, and yet this room isn't colder. Who let these disgusting creatures in a refrigerator? What, are the 2 and 3 buttons chopped liver? Also, the music here has whistle sounds in it, which can mislead people into thinking that's the order you need to press the switches. Ships have bridges between chimney sacks. Who knew? Banjo's foot doesn't get caught in these strangely big grates. Matryosh box. Who the heck makes people pay into eggs? How are these whiplashes growing here? Gee, thanks game, I definitely would have found that. Thanks for spawning that tile all the way over there. While they did spoil the last area, I do kinda like how they somewhat foreshadow the final level with this earlier accessible area though. Gruntoda thinks that Banjo will fall for this. Click Clock Woods is a great level, but they basically just copy pasted the level 4 times. If this was made on the Xbox 360 or something, it probably would have actually done the seasons thing and actually treated it like the same part. For example, the notes you collected in spring would also be collected in winter. Venus Bear Trap. I saved this for now, but I'm gonna take sins off for this game's epic soundtrack. Game made me Google how long can a beaver hold his breath underwater? Only for 15 minutes. It would make less sense, but we don't know how long this beaver's been waiting. Still sending it. These leaves can be a bit of a pain to jump on. Would this beehive even be able to stay on like this? How do these platforms even stay up with no support? This game really hates Robin Hood. Do people even know how eggs work? If you break an unhatched egg, the embryo inside it dies. Mumbo's not kidding. The bee is easily the most fun to use in this game, and definitely much more fun than the bee suit in Super Mario Galaxy. However, the buzzing can get a bit annoying. How is this snare bear not eating this Jinjo? And no, that wasn't the name I gave it. That's their actual name. Thanks for reminding us of the Care Bears. Game made me Google something twice in the same level. It takes 10 to 12 weeks for egos to mature, which is less than 3 months. In other words, a whole season. Eerie shouldn't be a kid anymore. I think that Eerie could just bend his head down and eat these caterpillars, but instead he makes us feed them to him. These Zubbas serve as another enemy gauntlet. Can't they at least call it an enemy gauntlet instead of a boss? It's so easy to break this fight with the gold feathers. And now the unfunny Gobi torture has to continue. How are we strong enough to break a rock? Mumbo is lazy. He can't even take 8 seconds out of his day to transform us? How will you get a suntan when you're sated by your house? Did this big clucker just fall through the tree? How did all these leaves get inside Mumbo's hut? Oh wait, maybe it's because he leaves his door open even though he has no reason to as of currently. Also, why can't you just use some magic spell to get rid of all the leaves? I bet that some people must have spent months looking for a lava world in this game that wasn't there after reading this. I understand it's meant for Banjo-Tooie, but I'm still sending it for making kids waste their lives. I know it's fall already, but has Naughty really been waiting for us that long? Also, beavers are too heavy to climb, so how did he get in here even when the water was drained? If you all moved out, why are you still here? I don't think that just 6 acorns would be enough to save squirrels for the whole winter. I think some of these enemies would be hibernating at this point. So Eerie has finally matured, except he's 2 seasons late. All these impossibly held up platforms are still up, even in winter. I'd maybe excuse it if it was being supported, but it wasn't. There's no way these surf slushes can throw these snowballs that high. This icy water drains your air faster, but it would make more sense for you to catch hypothermia from it instantly. Trying to find an area to surface before you drown is just nightmarish. Mumbo's on vacation, so he left one of our enemies in charge of it. He must be working with Gruntilda. Actually, he tries to flirt with her in the bad ending, so that seems like it could be a possibility. Why does he even need someone to look after his house? That's as weird as it was in Paper Mario. How did this beehive break? Oh yeah, see? That's what I'm talking about. Having the hive here is a bad idea. It's kinda cute that Nabnut has a girlfriend, but where was she all year? I guess we could assume he didn't meet her yet, but there's no saying for certain. You know, what happens after winter? It loops back to spring, but it just goes back to the same spring of earlier that year, meaning these woods are stuck in an infinite time loop. I guess it would be a waste of programming, but you know how CinemaSins would handle that, right? That actually gets extremely annoying. So, can Gruntilda just teleport you to anywhere in the world now? Why not just teleport us into a pit of boiling lava? Gruntilda ends this question with an exclamation point, just like Moggy did earlier. Tootie, you didn't do any adventuring. You're being held in one place this whole time. 7 minutes and 40 seconds of credits. I ordinarily don't send credits for being long, but this time you're required to sit through them before you beat the game. I get that's the joke, but that won't stop me from giving 2 sins for having to wait this long. What is Toot supposed to be? Some elephant fused with Cubert? Napper's mom must have really hated him to give him that name. Thanks for reminding me of having to go inside Logo. Nabnut's girlfriend isn't anywhere in the credits. Didn't they already show these characters on the same credit screen? Yes, Gruntilda got away, but we already saved Tootie, didn't we? I mean, I'd be more mad if Gruntilda didn't get her comeuppance, but the main problem's already been solved. I love how Banjo just brings his drink with him to fight Gruntilda. Also, he somehow gets back to the Furnace Fun Room almost instantly. You don't get to fight Klungo in this game. You had to wait another 2 years for Banjo-Tooie. Why would Gruntilda leave this stuff behind that replenishes your items? And she says Banjo's the dumb one. This boss is pretty good, but also kind of frustrating. How does a magic broom run out of juice? Bottles just magically made that flight pad appear. Hey, how are we not getting hit by the lightning if we're up this high? This giant Jinjo statue takes forever to use, especially with all this annoying fire being rained on you. The Jinjo Nader decides to take its time before ramming into Gruntilda, and instead of moving out of the way, Gruntilda just stands here allowing her to be hit. Villain falls to her death cliche. Bottles is eating the watermelon, yet it has no teeth marks. At least put some teeth marks in its model. Yep, we're heroes now. And then Banjo-Tooie is going to subliminally reveal that Tootie's gone missing. These balls are called Big Butt. That actually made me chuckle. Wait, so is this a list of enemies or any kind of characters? Because some of these guys helped us. Of course all Boggy's kids have to have rhyming names. This game predicted Tumblr. How did Mumbo fit in this tree? He wasn't shown in any of these previous shots. Kazooie? Mumbo isn't wearing a skirt. Game advertises Banjo-Kazooie Nuts and Bolts, which is widely regarded as the worst Banjo-Kazooie game. Nuts and Bolts makes Banjo-Kazooie look like a joke? Judging by what I've heard about it, I highly doubt that. Again, I'm glad this game has a way of appealing to adults too, but some of these adult jokes feel like they barely even try. Are you sure you don't mean we should find out in Banjo-Tooie? What is wrong with you, Mumbo? Instead of a The End card like the original version, this one says Game Over. I understand what it means, and I ordinarily wouldn't mind the end saying Game Over, but it was changed from the original, so there's not as much satisfaction.